Hello, students. Let us begin a poem, The Cold Within. So, first of all, let us try to know about the poem. Irish American poet James Patrick Kinney uses his poetic parable, The Cold Within, to illustrate the folly of falling prey to discrimination that shortchanges our own humanity. Written in the 1960s during the African American Civil Rights Movement, 1954 to 1968, the poet Kinney was outraged by inhuman discriminatory attitudes at the time and wrote this poem to prompt some serious soul searching. How often are we wise enough to rise above our egos? How foolish are we when we give in to our prejudices? Its message is relevant even today when we face divisive outlooks in the world that lead to hatred and violence. The poem is a reminder to overcome our personal demons and be open to the wisdom of an egalitarian view, an attitude where everyone is considered equal in worth. Kinney's narrative poem tells a story to protest against bigotry and racism. Bigotry means here orthodoxism. The piece comprises of 8 quatrains, 4 lines per stanza with an approximate ABCB and rhyme scheme. The Cold Within uses simple language and structure to ensure the message is not diluted. Given the delicate subject matter, note Kinney's skillful use of visual imagery to engage the reader through. What is environment? So environment, dark and bitter cold, line number 2. The dying fire, line number 5. Mannerisms, the first man held his back, line number 6. He gave his coat a hitch, line number 14. So these are the visual imagery. Physical appearance, he noticed one was black, line number 8. The third one sat in tattered clothes, line number 13. Next we talk about the delivery. 2 is straightforward. No fancy words or meandering metaphors. We see allegories in the wood logs, which can be seen to represent a person's abilities and resources, while the fire itself symbolizes the common good. Another language device used by Kinney is personification, where you give personal characteristics to something non human. He does it with death by speaking of death having cold hands. Their sticks held tight in death's still hands, so there is personification in line number 29. Kenneth does not preach, he wants the reader to draw inferences from the visual and symbolical cues that he gives each character to arrive at a conclusion, the futility of exclusion. The original citation of the poem The Cold Within is unavailable, but a letter from Kinney's widow to an advice column tracks the interesting story behind its distribution. It seems that Kinney submitted the poem to many publications, but it was rejected as being too controversial for the time. Still, the poem, with its compelling message, spread quietly, shared in gatherings over the radio and other informal channels. Somewhere in this, the authorship of James Patrick Kinney was lost, and for a few decades, the source was cited as anonymous. Kinney's wife and son, however, brought his contribution to light. In the early 2000s, the Ligurian, an American based Catholic magazine, became the first commercial publication to publish this poem while correctly accrediting the author. Class, now let us have the explanation of stanza 1. 6 humans trapped by happenstance in bleak and bitter cold, each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the story is told. Explanation is here. We open up to a bleak tableau. The poet recounts a tale he has heard of 6 persons caught together in the grip of a severe winter. Each of them probably had a single stick of wood. Note the poet's use of word humans. He wants to draw attention to the gathering as specific individuals rather than as a collective group. They were trapped by happenstance, implying no escape from a situation created by chance. The adjectives dark and bitter describing the cold add to the ominous feeling. Now, stranger number two, the dying fire in need of logs, the first man held his back. For the faces around the fire, he noticed one was black. The second stanza cuts into a key character in this story, the dying fire. The group's prospects do not look good in the heart of winter. Keeping warm is critical to survival. The fire offers a chance for salvation if each person would use their respective logs to feed it. The dying fire is a silent appeal to the group to help themselves by helping each other. The next verses reveal how the situation unfolds. We find that the first person withheld his log from the fire only because it would benefit a black person. This is racism where there is discrimination because of a person's race. The man will not even warm himself if someone he looks down upon simply because of skin color will gain. Now, stranger number three. The next man looking across the way saw one knot of his church and couldn't bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. Dear students, in third stanza, we move on. The second person looked across the fire and saw someone who he knew didn't share his religious ideology, and just because of that, he can't bear to give up his log to the communal fire. So, this is bigotry, which speaks of intolerance to a person because they do not share the same opinions or ideas. Stranger number four, the third one sat in tattered clothes. He gave his coat a hitch. Why should his log be put to use to warm the idle rich? Explanation is simple enough. The focus now shifts. Yes, the explanation is here. The focus now shifts. Here is a person who seems poor, his tattered, old and torn clothes in the cold weather hint at poverty. He perhaps felt the cold more than the others as we notice that he gave his coat a hitch, adjusting it closer to his body to dry out some warmth from the inadequate clothing. But here too is a dead end. We see that he is a victim of classicism or discrimination based on social or economic class. Considering those favorably placed than him to be idle, he is defensive and in his eyes the rich do not deserve his meager ration and he will not part with his stick. Stanza number 5. The rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store and how to keep what he had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. Explanation is here. At cross purposes, we find the next exhibit of apathy. The rich man, caught up hoarding his riches in his head, he is oblivious to reality. Greed blinds him as he selflessly connives to keep his wealth. He even miserly holds onto his stick, keeping it from the poor whom he perceives as aimless and lazy. Stranger number 6 is the black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from his sight, for all he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. So here we can see even the victim becomes an abuser. Here we know the black person had experienced racism, revenge for the atrocities he had faced from the white people or white person, especially lady, you know, was the only thing on his mind. One wonders if he had already resigned himself to dying. He saw the fire pass from his sight. He realized that the fire was fast getting spent. But the spark of human kindness had died in him, and literally too, he chose to let the group's fire die. He would perish, but he would take the others he hated down with him as well. Now, stranger number 7, the last man of this forlorn group, did not accept for gain. Giving only to those who gave was how he played the game. Explanation is here. For the first time in the poem, The Cold Within, the poet foreshadows the fate of the group by finally describing the bunch as forlorn. Bunch means a group, forlorn means a deserted or hopeless. Until then, the poet had reserved judgment, allowing the reader instead to examine each individual in turn and derive his or her own conclusion. Unfortunately, find that the last person also perpetuates the vicious circle of interria. There is a word for this person's attitude, and it is not in the English language. So we can say that here it refers to a look shared between people where each hopes that the other will do something that all of them want, but none are willing to initiate. In giving just to get, the last person played a losing mood in the game, a metaphor for the game of life. Now, stanza number 8. Their logs held tight in death's still hands was proof of human sin. They did not die from the cold without, they died from the cold within. So here we can see we witness the grim aftermath of the group's rigidity of spirit. Death comes and it is personified here with the stilled hands. Each individual became their own agent of death, their hands frozen stiff with their refusal to act. The fact that each of them still possessed their firewood when they died suggests the twisted motives in retaining their firewood. Proof enough of sin. The final lines abound with irony. Irony means here that what is and what should be. Okay, so we realize it was not the cold weather outside that really killed the group after all. It was the cold in their hearts, the lack of warm human spirits, the cold within. So this is all about the poem. Now let us have the final note about the poet. Bonus read on James Patrick Kinney. So the poet Kinney got recognition posthumously, means after his death. Not much is formally written about him, but here is an interview about James Patrick Kinney where his son speaks exclusively of the man, his poetry, and his legacy. The inspiring interview reveals a man with character and integrity and is worth a look.